Daniel, if you're ready, shall we start?
Yes, ready when you are.
How are you, Mr. Daniel?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. I'm really happy, first of all, to have you here on Zoom. As for me, I know you very well, and for most students who might be watching this interview later on, they simply don't know you. That is why I would like you to introduce yourself. Okay.
Sure, no problem. Well, my name is Daniel Mariah. I'm 58. I'm here with my wife and 2 children, and I come from the UK, England. Perhaps I may not look very English, but that's because my mother and father originally are from Italy. They emigrated to the UK before I was born. So I was born and raised in the UK, and that's where I did my schooling in England. We decided to come here in 2005 as a family to help the Myanmar people to learn and improve their English, and also to help them to know about the Bible, because we are also Jehovah's Witnesses. So we are here teaching English and teaching others Bible English so that they can know about Jehovah and the Bible knowledge.
Thank you. Can I start with the very first question now? The reason why I'm asking you this question is, most Myanmar students here in Myanmar, whenever they go to a language center, they always ask about the grammar course. Do you have the grammar course? And yes, every time they are asking, okay, about some course, it always start with grammar. I don't think, based on my personal experience, learning English, by grammar is effective. So my question is, how do we learn English effectively? And let me repeat myself here, the emphasis is on effectively. So how do we learn English effectively?
Yes, that's not an easy question to answer, because people learn in different ways and different students have different abilities. Of course, grammar is very useful. Every language is based on grammar. The thing I can say is that it's not the only way of learning English. In fact, in England now, very few schools, unless you are going to a private school, most schools now do not teach grammar anymore. So that doesn't mean to say that somebody shouldn't learn grammar. But the emphasis now in English schools is to teach children to learn to read well and to understand what they are reading. Obviously, in the process of that learning, the teacher does teach some grammar through that process, but they don't focus on teaching grammar. So yes, grammar is important, but it's not the only way, or I wouldn't say it's the best way of learning English. There are many different ways, but a student can learn grammar as he's learning the language if he has a good teacher.
Oh,
and most importantly, if he has the desire, because if a student is not really interested in something, even if you teach him the best grammar, he will not learn to speak English properly. So the student needs to have the desire to learn English and to be a hard worker, to listen well, to be a good observant, and to follow the teacher's instructions, regardless of the method that the teacher uses.
I often hear that it is the native speaker of English who make, grammar mistake a lot. Is that true, Mr. Daniel?
Absolutely. Like I say, I was born and raised in England, and I'm sure that if I went to speak to a university lecturer from Cambridge or Oxford, I'm sure he would find many errors in my grammar as an Englishman, and I would probably find errors in his grammar. So nobody speaks any language perfectly. But the focus today in England is not on having perfect grammar, because that's no longer an issue in a language. Now the world has changed. People are traveling all around the world. The language itself is changing, because in England there are many foreigners who are living there, residing in England. They have an effect on the way that the language is spoken. Therefore, the grammar itself can over time change. So it's not in English we say it's not the be all and end all of learning the language. Grammar is useful, it's important, but it's far more important to listen well, understand, to be able to read clearly, and to speak in a way that communicates the information well to your listener.
That is not, the kind of thing that most Myanmar students are, making. They are simply, focusing a lot on grammar and thinking that grammar is the most important in terms of learning a language. Now, my question is, what mistake do you think, most Myanmar students here are making?
Yes, I think their approach to the way they learn English is probably similar to the way they are used to learning Myanmar, their own language. Here in Myanmar at schools, there is a lot of repetition. So they memorize many things. They memorize their mathematics, they memorize their sentences, they memorize lots of things. It's what's called a mnemonic teaching method. And I know that many of my students, they make the general mistake of trying to either read very quickly or speak very quickly, because that's how they learn Myanmar. And they think that if they do the same in English, that will impress the teacher, or it means that they are learning more. That is not the case. For an English teacher to appreciate any student, he wants to see the student take his time to speak more slowly, to read more slowly, so that he enunciates the words more clearly. So the biggest mistake that I have encountered is that in their desire to impress the teacher, they read far too quickly, speak far too quickly, and therefore they chop the ends of the words. And it becomes one long slur, one long blurred line, which is difficult for an English person to understand. So the biggest mistake is, I think, they imitate the Myanmar way of learning and teaching, which in the English language doesn't happen.
So we'll probably think that, most Myanmar people, speak English, strangely, okay?
Well, as a teacher, we're used to all people who are not English. It will sound strange to us, just as I'm sure if I was to speak to you in Myanmar, my Myanmar would sound strange to you.
Yeah.
That's natural.
That's very awkward to my ears.
Yes. But like I say, I think the biggest problem that I have encountered is that the students, I think, are more concerned about the impression they make on the teacher than actually learning the language. That's the biggest mistake. They should focus much more on the words they are saying, how they are listening to the teacher, and the way they are speaking.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Denny. You have just talked about the kind of mistake that most Myanmar students are probably making. And I'd like to ask you, one more question. And my question is, what suggestions do you have for the Myanmar student trying to improve their English?
Yes, so I've already mentioned before, what's important right from the start is a desire. So if a student is being forced to learn English by his parents or by whomever, it's difficult for him to learn any language. But if he is willing, if he really wants to learn, then that's already the best foundation. The desire to learn will give him the motivation to stick to his curriculum. Then the best thing that I would suggest is that they listen attentively to good English speakers. So unfortunately, in Myanmar, there are many teachers that say they teach English. And I've met many Myanmar teachers, such as yourself, who are very good teachers because their English is based on a very, very good vocabulary. They speak slowly and enunciate clearly, and they are good teachers. However, if we want to learn any language well, we need to listen to a good native speaker. So I would suggest the best listening program would be the BBC World Service.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, the BBC World Service, they have journalists who are vetted. They're selected because of their very clear English expression. So, number one, listen to a good native speaker. So listen to an English native speaker who speaks clearly, and is understandable. Secondly, to read and practice reading as regularly as you can. Even reading to yourself in front of a mirror. So allow yourself to hear what you are saying and keep practicing. Keep practicing. The more you read, the more you practice, the better you will become at enunciating. Don't do it with speed. It's not a race. So just focus and concentrate on ending your words so that, you accentuate each word clearly. So that means you need to slow down your reading, read repetitively, and don't be afraid to actually speak to native speakers. Don't be anare.
That's the feeling that most Myanmar students have whenever
Yes. So if you meet a native speaker, we are more than happy to assist you. So don't be afraid to ask us, is this how you say it? Or can you please tell me correctly how to speak? Or say something to us. Whatever you know, use what you know. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You will make mistakes. That's okay. That's fine. So it's important to have a good sense of humor. You need to be able to laugh at yourself. Don't be ashamed. So listen attentively, observe other native speakers, read, practice, and don't be afraid to use what you know. Collectively, if you do these things with the desire that you have, I'm sure that it will help you in learning the English language to a very good degree.
Okay, Mr. Daniel, as for your first suggestion, you said you suggested to Myanmar students to listen to the BBC World Service. For your second suggestion, you said that most Myanmar students read books, and you did not mention the kind of
yes,
is used that good English is used. Okay, so what kind of book is written in good English?
Yes, well, there are many good English books, many books that speak about, obviously, like the magazine equivalent of the BBC World Service is very good. So if you can get a good newspaper like the Independent newspaper, which reflects good news. But the best single book that anyone can read, which is the highest level of English, is the Bible, particularly the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, because it is the most modern and up-to-date English, and it is the clearest, simplest, and most accurate English written format that you will find to date.
By the way, do you have the book near you? And if you have it, please.
Yes, I'll show you.
Okay.
So this is the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. So it's known as the Bible, but the Bible English throughout the centuries has always been the highest level of English, all the way back to the time of William Shakespeare. When William Shakespeare, the Shakespearean English was used in England, and King James ordered the writing of the Bible, he would use the highest level of English at the time. And as the years have gone by, different translators have always updated the English to reflect modern day English speaking language. So this is the most modern, technically accurate rendition of an English Bible. So New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures.
I think I must also digest that book to improve my English.
Yes, by all means, if anyone wishes a copy, then they can let you know, and you can let me know. I'm happy to forward them a copy of that.
Okay, Mr. Daniel, those are the questions that I have lined up to ask you, and I'm really happy to have you here on Zoom. And also, I really appreciate the time that you have, reserved, for this interview. And
it's a pleasure.
Okay, to you.
Yes, thank you. Well, I wish all your students the best for their future.
Okay, may the receive your blessing in full.
Yes, and who knows? In the future, I might be able to meet some of them.
Yes, that was a very good opportunity if my student can meet you in the flesh.
More than happy to do that.
Okay, by the way, when the pandemic is over, I will invite you to my language center so that you can talk to my student in person.
Sure. Absolutely, I'm more than happy to do that. Anything I can do to help.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tanya. You are a lifesaver indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.